This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Can it get much worse for the Las Vegas Raiders, routed by the Cleveland Browns last weekend, whilst rookie starting quarterback Shedeur Sanders had his way with the Vegas defense? The response? Well, the Raiders fired offensive coordinator Chip Kelly and are now 2-9 for the season, the joint holders of the worst record in football. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles blow a 21-point lead in Dallas as their offense is shut out for the final 41 minutes of the game, and the LA Rams establish themselves as the best team in the NFC. All of this whilst we're still getting ready for Thanksgiving. So let's turn the page. It's Thanksgiving week. Let's look ahead to Week 13 in the NFL.
Graves on Gridiron with Richard Graves.
Hello, welcome along to the show. This is Graves on Gridiron. I am your host, Richard Graves, and I'm sure you're all now asking, how did we go with our picks last weekend? Well, it was mixed in every sense of the word. I don't think I've ever seen a line quite like this. In the 3 games we picked against the line, we went 1, 1, and 1. For the second time this season, we had a push, a tie against the line. It means we're now 14, 19, and 2 on the season. The games that we picked, of course, the Baltimore Ravens, 13.5-point favorites playing the New York Jets. They won by 13. We came up half a point short. The Chiefs, I said it was a show-me game. They showed us they got a big win. They were 3-point favorites. They won by 3. And then what about those Dallas Cowboys? People were laughing at me last week when they heard this podcast, and I said, give me the Cowboys as 3-point underdogs. And I'll be honest, at 21 zip down to the Philadelphia Eagles, 4 minutes into the second quarter, I was feeling rather small. But then what happened to the Eagles offense? It's something we talked about last week in the build-up to the game, and having put 21 on the board, they went missing in action as the Cowboys stepped up, rallied to score 24 unanswered points. They got the win. They chalked up the one win we had on the week against the line as well on the show. It means we went 1-1-1 on the week, 14, 19, and 2 on the season is the show's record. Now, by the time you're listening to this podcast, we've probably already had the Thanksgiving slate of games. So this week we're going to focus on the Sunday slate of matchups. But hold on, because at the very end, I'm going to give you some bonus picks as well if you are listening to this pod ahead of Thanksgiving night in the UK and the triple header that we've got ahead. But we will start with Sunday's matchups. The Houston Texans at 6-5, traveling to the Indianapolis Colts. Their record's 8-3. The Colts, understandably, 4.5-point favorites going into this game. But I really do feel this is a sneaky good game this week. The Texans with David Mills at quarterback, their backup, of course, due to the fact that C.J. Stroud, their starting QB, has been in concussion protocol since that Week 9 loss to the Denver Broncos now. Well, they've won 3 straight. They've won 4 of the last 5 games. But now there's an expectation that Stroud could, in fact, be ready to return to action this weekend as well to boost that offense. This is a team who are now just a game behind the Jags in the AFC South. The Jags, of course, occupying second place in that division. And they're only 2 games behind the division-leading Indianapolis Colts. Win this, and suddenly they'll be just a game outside of first place. They'll have the tiebreaker over the Colts. And guess who they wrap up the season against in Week 18 in that first weekend in January? That's right. They're at home to the Indianapolis Colts. So you see the ramifications of this weekend's matchup and what it means looking ahead down the road. Make no mistake, this is a huge game in the AFC South. Not least, of course, because the Colts, who everyone's been raving about, me included this season, are looking to bounce back from that loss last week. I said on this podcast last week, the Colts game in Kansas City, well, for me at least, it was a show-me game for Indianapolis. Show me that the hype is real. Show me you're ready to be Super Bowl contenders. Show me who the Colts really are. Show me if the Colts can go to a place like Arrowhead Stadium and get the job done. They played well in that game. They put up a real fight. They gave the Chiefs all that they could handle. But, and this was the caveat I had when talking about that game last week, but when the game was on the line and you need someone to step up and make a play, be it on offense or defense, they couldn't get the job done. This was a game they led by 20 points to 9 on the road in the fourth quarter. Teams just don't get that kind of cushion when you're playing in Arrowhead Stadium. And yet they allowed the Chiefs to score the touchdown. They gave up the 2-point conversion. And then they gave up a field goal as time expired, which saw the game run into overtime before Harrison Butker finished it all off. So now there are questions to be answered. You're back on home soil against a red-hot divisional rival who have a really good defense. And make no mistake, the Texans do have a good defense. They're a team that has Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. as their leading pass rushers. This is a team that has cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. patrolling their secondary. He's close to becoming a shutdown corner. He is that good. This defense ranks number 1 overall in the NFL this season. They're number 2 in points allowed, giving up 16.5 a game. Number 3 against the pass. Number 4 in takeaways. Number 5 against the run. The list goes on. You get what I'm saying here. This is a defense which hasn't given up more than 19 points in 4 of their last 5 outings. The one game they did give up more than that against the Jags, no worries. They rallied as a team anyway from a double-digit deficit to grab the win regardless. So, it's no small challenge that confronts the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. This really is a game where we find out what they're made of. But at home, give them their flowers. They have been unbeatable this year, the Colts. The Colts are a perfect 5-0 record when playing at home this season. And they won in Berlin, where they were the designated home team against the Falcons. They can look at this matchup and say, well, we hold the number 1 ranked scoring offense in the league this year. They're scoring exactly 31 points a game on average. They're the number 4 rushing offense in the NFL. They have the league's leading rusher in the form of Jonathan Taylor. He's just shy of 1,200 yards on the ground already this year. We're only just heading into week 13. And he leads the league with 17 total touchdowns. Oh, and did I mention the Indianapolis Colts have scored at least 29 points in each of their 5 wins at home in Lucas Oil Stadium this year? Look, I'm the first to tell you when it comes to postseason time that defense wins championships. But do you know what? This isn't a playoff match. It's not a championship match. It's a crunch divisional rivalry game in the regular season. I think the Colts are the real deal. I've said it on this show before. I think they back it up this weekend. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts to bounce back from last week's defeat in KC, and they're going to do it in style turning heads, folks. Give me the Colts to win, and give me the Colts to cover at -4.5 points. That's an AFC South divisional rivalry. We've got 2 more games to preview. Don't go away. We'll be back after these short messages.
Graves on Gridiron. with Richard Graves.
Welcome back to Graves on Gridiron. We've already broken down a key divisional rivalry matchup in the AFC South this weekend as the Texans, who are red hot, go to Indianapolis against a Colts team hurting, looking to bounce back. Where do we go next? We go to MetLife Stadium. We go to the New York Jets with a 2-9 record, the joint worst in football, and they're hosting an Atlanta Falcons team who are just 4-7 on the season. And I think it's fairly safe to say expectations from this game are pretty low. Look at the total points line. It's not even 40. 39.5 points is the line for the number of points we're expecting these two to combine for this week. And I'll say this much. I picked against the Jets last weekend, and they did put up a fight in Baltimore. Yes, ultimately, they came up short and they lost. But the line was 13.5. They lost by 13, and for a lot of that game, it was a lot closer than the final scoreline suggested it would be. Well, now they face the Atlanta Falcons, a team who came into this season with high expectations. I can remember on the season opening show saying that they were my team possibly to come out of the NFC South. Well, at 4-7, I think it's fairly safe to say that is unlikely to happen. And now they're without their starting QB, Michael Penix Jr., likely done for the season. Star wide receiver Drake London is dealing with a nagging lower leg injury. And at 4-7, honestly, I don't see them playing much football in January either. I think they'll be kicking up their heels alongside the New York Jets. Last weekend's win for them in New Orleans was their first since October the 13th. That's right. They'd lost 5 straight before that trip to New Orleans. And we all know the story around the Jets this season. They've had a change at quarterback now. Tyrod Taylor has replaced Justin Fields, but it hasn't really improved their offense. They scored just 10 points last weekend, 14 the week before. And look, I know that they scored 14 or fewer in 4 of their last 6 games. But what I was going to say is that they had 27 in one of those 2 wins they had against the Cleveland Browns. Well, do you know what the caveat is with that 27-point line? 14 of those points came by the way of a kickoff return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown. So you look at the breadth of work, 14 points or fewer in 4 of the last 6 games. Now you look at how they're doing defensively. And since the trade deadline, when they decided to let their 2 best players leave on that side of the ball, in Sauce Gardner, their star defensive back, and Quinnen Williams, who's seemingly transformed things on that Dallas defensive line, it's not been good for the Jets. In their past 4 games, they've conceded 23, 27, 20, and 38 points. And you're telling me the total points line for this game stands at 39.5? When you've got Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algiers in the backfield for the visiting Falcons? Trust me, folks, we're going to see at least 40 points put on the board in this matchup. The Jets and the Falcons, 39.5 points is the line. We're going higher. Give me the over. Neither of these teams are good enough, frankly, to shut the other down. Take the over 39.5 points in this game. Okay, that's the Jets and the Falcons. We're going to wrap things up in the AFC West. The Los Angeles Chargers are coming back off a bye week. They've got a 7-4 record. And I mentioned this team right at the top in the introduction. The Las Vegas Raiders at 2-9. They occupy that spot alongside the Jets with a joint worst record in football. And the Chargers are 9.5-point favorites coming into this game. That looks a big spread for a divisional matchup. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of this game. Let's break it down, because speaking of hapless teams, let's talk the Las Vegas Raiders. Where do we start? This is a storied franchise, without question. But they have fallen off the edge of the proverbial cliff in recent weeks. Their record is 2-9. But I think there's a good argument to say that this is a worse team than a 2-9 record suggested. They invested a top 10 pick in April's draft on a running back, Ashton Genty. But they don't have an offensive line that can block for him. Just listen to this offensive production for them over their last 7 games. They scored 10 points last weekend against the Cleveland Browns, and nobody's raving about their offense this season. They put 16 on the board against Dallas, 7 on the board against Denver. True enough, they scored 29 against the Jaguars, but still lost that game in overtime. They were shut out, nil point, by the Kansas City Chiefs. They only managed 10 against the Tennessee Titans when they played them at home. And they put 6 on the board against the Indianapolis Colts. If you take out that anomaly of the score against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you have a total of 49 points across 6 games. Are you kidding me? That's just a blip over 8 points a game. That is pathetic. This week they go to LA to play the 7-4 Chargers, a team who've already beaten them in Vegas this season. Way back in week 2, they won that matchup 20 points to 9. And the line has the Chargers as 9.5-point favorites. Hang on, what? I know they got blown out by the Jags ahead of their bye week 2 weeks ago, but this Chargers team knows how to put points on the board. And more importantly, they know how to handle the bad teams in the league this season. In 5 games prior to that loss in Jacksonville, they never scored fewer than 24 points in a game. They beat the Steelers. They handled the Titans. They absolutely spanked the Vikings, and they took care of the Dolphins as well. This is a team with a 7-4 record, just 2 back of the division-leading Denver Broncos, and they have the opportunity to sweep a divisional rival in the Raiders this weekend. Can anyone, I'm putting this out there right now, anyone at all, show me a fan of the Las Vegas Raiders who thinks they're even going to get close in this game? Anyone? No? Well, do you know what? Neither can I. Give me the Chargers to cover at plus 9.5 points. Okay, well, I'll recap the 3 games we're taking from this Week 13 Thanksgiving slate shortly, but if you are listening to this podcast, I said we'd have some bonus tips for you if you're listening to it ahead of the Thanksgiving Day triple header. Here they come. This is just straight out wins of the 3 games. First up, the Detroit Lions hosting the Green Bay Packers. The Lions are out to revenge that Week 1 loss at Lambeau Field. I think they do it. I'm taking the Lions to beat the Packers to kick off Thanksgiving Day's slate. Then the game of the day might just be in Arlington, Texas, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. I called it on this podcast last week with people, frankly, laughing in my face when I said the Cowboys would take down the Eagles. Well, guess what? I love what's happened with this Dallas Cowboys defense since they made some acquisitions on the trade deadline and brought players back from IR. And I like them again on a 4-day turnaround against a Chiefs team that edged a bruising encounter against the Colts last week. Give me the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day with America watching. And of course, we finish up in Baltimore. Will Joe Burrow return for the Cincinnati Bengals? Is Lamar Jackson fit? We hear he's got a toe injury. Well, regardless of whether we see one, both, neither of those players, I'm taking the Ravens to end this one regardless. It's 3 home team wins for me on Thanksgiving Day. And then we have a reminder of the picks on the games we've taken against the Thanksgiving weekend slate. We started in Indy. The Colts hosting the Texans. The Colts are 4.5-point favorites. Give me Indianapolis to cover at minus 4.5 points. Then it's on to New Jersey. The hapless New York Jets hosting the Atlanta Falcons. The total points line for this game, both teams combined, is under 40 at 39.5. Give me the over on that. They'll combine for some points, over 39.5 points in this game. Before we finish up in Los Angeles, the home of the Chargers, they're taking on a Raiders team who, frankly, are in free fall right now. The Chargers, heavy 9.5-point favorites. They'll win by that and then some. Take the Chargers to cover, no questions asked, and cover at plus 9.5 points. As I always say at this juncture, it's about enjoyment, it's about fun, it's having a little bit extra on the side in these weekend matchups as well. If you've got any opinions on what we've discussed, there were some Dallas Cowboy fans at halftime last week that were getting in touch with me on X saying, do not pick the Cowboys again. It is spoiling the game. Well, they weren't saying that at the end of it because Dallas won and we got it right. We're looking to do it again with these 3 games this weekend. Get in touch. Hit me up on social media. X is at Richard Graves 1. It's RDG Media UK on Instagram. On Facebook, Richard Graves RDG Media. Whatever your platform of choice, I love to hear from you. And I'm loving these games right now because they have everything that we've come to expect in the National Football League. I'm thinking that Thanksgiving week's going to be no different, folks. Bring it on. I can't wait. So long, everybody.
Subscribe to Graves on Gridiron wherever you listen to podcasts. And keep up to date with the latest on Twitter. Search for Richard Graves 1. That's Richard Graves, the number 1.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.